Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Olin Alumni Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Lowen, and I'm so excited to be back with you for episode 2. For those of you just joining us, this is our space to catch up with Oliners and see where life has taken them since leaving the bubble. We're here to share the honest, unfiltered stories of where our degrees actually lead, the real struggles, the unexpected turns, and the big wins in both career and life. Before we dive in, I just want to give a huge thank you to the incredible support on our debut. Every message and listen honestly warms my heart. I'm producing this entirely for the community, so knowing you're out there listening means everything. If there are specific topics you want covered or platforms you want to see us on, please reach out. I am at your service. I also want to give Olin College of Engineering a huge thank you for sponsoring this show. When I first pitched the idea of an alumni podcast, the school was immediately on board, looking for a fresh way to highlight the incredible work all of you are doing. Our goal is simple: to learn from one another, support each other, and celebrate this network of problem solvers. With that in mind, I am thrilled to introduce today's guest, Katie Brooks. I can think of nobody who cares more about showing up for fellow Oliners than Katie. I can't wait for you to hear her enthusiasm and soak up the knowledge she has to share. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sean. I'm so excited to be here. You're too kind. Such kind words. Oh my gosh.
No, I mean, so we had our first conversation about a month ago. You reached out after I announced the podcast, and we got on a call. And after that call, we spoke for a half hour, an hour, whatever. I was just walking on air because it's like, yes, there are other people that share this goal and this enthusiasm. And I kept talking, oh, well, Katie said blah, blah, blah. Katie's doing this. And I think after a few days, people were like, all right, we get it. But yeah, I mean, seeing all the stuff that you've also implemented over the last month for the alumni community has been incredible. So I truly mean everything that I said.
Well, thank you. So yeah, for those who don't know me, hi, I'm Katie. I'm class of '09. So the seniors, when I was a freshman, was the first class at Olin. My time at Olin, I went in with aspiring mechanical engineering goals. That did not pan out. We just came out with a general engineering degree. And I, for the past, 15 or more years, have been a product manager in and out of tech. And recently, over the past, kind of 3 to 5-ish years, I've been helping people position their careers. So it started kind of with a small friend-to-friend recommendations, and it's kind of grown from there. So I can go into that. Outside of career stuff, I am now a mom, which is exciting. And I think in general, the thing that makes me so passionate about Olin is it really teased out my problem solving side. I think before Olin and being shoved into that bubble with like-minded people, I felt kind of like the odd duck in this normal space. And then I really felt like I found myself when I was at college, because I guess that's what you do.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I was actually talking to someone recently who is on the wait list at Olin. Actually, I think he is making a decision today. But he called, he was like, I'm deciding between Olin and another school. What do you think? And the big thing that I told him was Olin is a great place for people that are excited about learning. And it does a great job of teaching you how to problem solve and how to approach new problems. I think that if you go to a different university, you might have a very solid foundation in a specific area. But Olin's philosophy of, well, technology is always going to change. So as long as you are good at adapting to change and learning new subjects, that's the most valuable thing that we can teach you.
Yeah. Oh my God. What you just said about technology is already going to change.
Yeah.
I'm feeling 100% in my business right now. It's a big one with, just we were taught when we were growing up, study your thing, stay in your lane, get your career, retire.
Yeah.
Success. And that isn't what's happening. So there's a lot of that underlying, approach, problem solving, creative thinking that I didn't have words for before I was at Olin. And Olin really taught me that. As someone who went fully expecting to come out an engineer and then promptly did not do engineering right
Yeah.
out of school. Like, I still use a lot of the skills that I learned at Olin.
Right.
Just maybe not thermodynamics that I maybe didn't pass, but that's okay. So
well,
like,
yeah.
you know.
So, but you said you didn't do engineering straight out of school, but you were doing UX and PM, right?
Yes. So when I graduated Olin, I actually had kind of like medical struggles while I was at school. I have really complicated migraines, which made it really difficult to get to class and also finish assignments. So I took an extra semester. So I actually graduated in December of 2009. And that put me in a weird, like, application to job spot in the year, because companies are generally like not hiring in December. And I actually took the next, like, those 6 months after graduating kind of like soul searching and trying to figure out, like, what do I do now? Because I had this grand plan of going to work with Adam Savage in the Mythbusters on robots, and that's not happening. So what do I do? And I talked to a lot of people. I did a lot of like informational interviews, you know, just kind of trying to figure myself out. And I found a program at Brown that was for engineers, but teaching entrepreneurship and management.
Okay.
And so it was a program I applied to, and I surprised myself and got in and did that for my master's. And so I graduated from Brown and then promptly went into management in the gaming space at Electronic Arts, because I knew I wanted to work in gaming. I just didn't know what that looked like. Like, I didn't exactly, again, like, have the words for, like, what a product manager is or does. I just kind of knew I liked UOCD, which I don't think it's called UOCD at Olin anymore.
Oh, really?
It's like human interaction design. Anyway.
Okay.
That sort of like user first approach. And when they interviewed me at EA, they actually call them producers, but it's the same sort of like, you come up with, you know, the solutions for, they know there's a problem somewhere in this product. Can you figure out what it was? And so once I got into that positioning inside of a company, I was like, oh, the puzzle pieces are like falling into place. Like, I am really good at solving these problems. I'm really good at observing users and understanding what the underlying struggles and problems they're running into are versus what they're saying they think the problems are, and then coming up with a solution that tackles that at like the core level. So I did, So anyway, so that was like the early career ages ago.
That's really cool. It's interesting that EA or the gaming industry calls that a producer when what you're describing to me is UX. And
they call it a producer because it was born out of media, right? Like, video games were a form of entertainment, and so all of their titles, they've kind of fixed it now-ish, but they, you know, like, they didn't have project managers. They call them something else. They just, all the terminology, which is one thing. If I'm gonna, my ADHD brain is gonna take me way over here for a second. that I work with people who bring me their resumes, because they, part of the industries that they're applying to, some companies take like, you know, product managers. Sometimes the skill set is a product manager. Sometimes it's a program manager. Sometimes there's a little bit overlap. Sometimes there's a lot of overlap. Sometimes even project managers get thrown in the mix. And like, each company defines it differently. And so people try to paint themselves in a box, and because of the titles, and I try to like pull them out and get them, you know, to understand job descriptions. And give them more opportunities.
That's really interesting. So for companies, I think as an applicant, it's easy to say, oh, okay, the video game industry says producer, but I have these skill sets. Even though I don't have the title, I have the skill sets which apply to it. When you then apply, does the industry also see like, oh, they aren't a producer, but they have the skill sets? Or do they see it as, well, they've never been a producer before, so I don't know?
So it totally depends on the job description, right? Because like, even within EA, so when I was working at EA, I was working on a thing called Origin, which was now, I think, rebranded as EA Download Manager. But basically, it's just the thing you download to download your games on your PC.
I remember that.
And that, you know, was a piece of software. Like, technically, I wasn't working on a game. So all of the terminologies that they're pulling out of these game studios and they're trying to apply to software development was a struggle.
Sure.
Because like you said, like, if I don't know a producer, if I'm a product manager and the producer is not like in my sphere of Google searches, then it may not bubble up and they may not be getting applicants.
Yeah.
This was like 2011, so, you know, it's probably different now. But there's even on, you know, say like The Sims, like I have a bunch of friends that work on The Sims still, because we love The Sims.
Yeah.
Certain producers are more like game and interaction within the game focused.
Okay.
And then other producers are more like, you know, the loading screens and like the menus and like less gameplay related things, which is closer to software development than like entertainment, right? And so I always tell people, like, you really, depending on what you're doing, you really got to read the job descriptions, because sometimes the company knows what they want and they put that in the job description and they don't have a role for that yet. So they just kind of make up a title, or they think they know what the title is, but they've mislabeled it because, you know, they're just Google searching stuff.
Yeah.
So it happens a lot more at smaller companies, but, you know, let me back all the way up. So my my career positioning services is currently called a Resume Whisperer.
Okay.
But it's going through a Digivolution. I'm going to go through my Digimon analogies. And I'm currently in the middle of rebranding. Because like I said, it started as like a friend to friend was recommending, you know, oh, Katie, help me with my resume. Katie, help me with my job applications. And one of my clients was like, oh, you're such a resume whisperer. And I was like, that's funny, because I like speak to the resume.
Yeah.
And so I just took that and ran with it. And now that everything's kind of taking off, I'm like, oh, I should actually brand this properly.
Hey, Future Sean here. Just wanted to hop in and say that since this episode was recorded, Resume Whisperer has officially completed its Digivolution into Red Thread Studio. It's the same methodology, services, and self-directed tools to help you on your job hunt journey. The only thing that has changed is the name. Okay, back to the conversation.
And so the way that I approach resumes is I tell people that I'm the designer. The resume is my UI and the hiring managers are my users. And it's my job to make sure that your resume gets your information bubbled up right in front of the hiring manager so that you're the obvious choice for the role. And a lot of times people don't see that or don't believe that or are having trouble like taking their skill set and placing it on the paper.
Yeah. So, okay, let's back up just a little bit. So when you graduated from school versus now, I think that the way that people apply to jobs is very different. And one of those big changes is the way that AI is used in both creating a resume and cover letter, and also how the resume and cover letter are, I guess, received by the company. So can you walk me through some of the changes that you've seen over the years and I guess an overview of the state that we're currently in?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a lot layered into the AI question. To answer your question directly, everyone is using AI in every step of the process, right?
Yeah.
To write the resume, to review the resumes, to suggest who to call, to write the job descriptions. You just assume everyone is using it, right?
Yeah.
The biggest problem that I don't think people don't understand, they just don't think about, is that AI didn't do your job for you, right? Like ChatGPT wasn't in the room when you did your job. So if you give ChatGPT your LinkedIn profile and say, hey, write me a resume, all it knows is your LinkedIn profile and or a job description. Maybe you also fed it of like, make this look like this. And because of the way that the underlying LLMs work and have been trained on, human writing and human content up until this point, it's very good at generalizing everything. So it'll take like, oh, Sean's good at podcasts, and it'll just kind of spit that in there as like, Sean produces podcasts in a very general way. And if I put your resume that was written by AI next to somebody else's that may or may not have been written next to AI, yours is going to feel weaker because it's not unique to you and it's not specific to you.
Sure.
So, and the problem that I think what people are running into from my side is AI. People talk about AI, using AI all the time, and it's a big shiny red button. And so they just put the stuff in there, they hit the button, and then they submit it, and there's like no assessment that goes into any step of the way. And the problem is like coupled with the AI problem that has now even further muddied the water. No one was ever taught how to write a resume or a cover letter in the first place.
Yeah.
And there's, guides and stuff online that are been circling the internet since the dawn of time. That's just like, write what you do to the company. Make sure it passes the applicant tracking systems. Make sure, you have the right keywords on there. But it doesn't really tell you why. And so when, in my career history, I started as a product manager, but because I'm such a problem solver, and because after EA, I worked at small startups, I wore many hats, and hiring was one of those hats. And so I ended up on the other side of the fence receiving all these resumes that were like pretty basic. And it was really hard to tell who to call because nobody stands out, right? Everyone does the same thing. And now that AI is gaining the momentum and you can tell when they use AI to write their resume, like it's even furthering the problem where they're just spitting out general resumes. And then they question like, why is no one calling me? Oh, it must be like my skill set, which is not true.
I remember when learning about resumes and cover letters, one of the things, this was back probably in high school and then also early college, so 2010 to 2014 or whatever, that the best way to format your resume is to send them a PDF. And, if you're doing a coding job, then you could, I wrote mine in LaTeX because, people, when they see that, they're like, oh, like they know that I know what I'm doing before they read any words because they recognize the formatting. And I know that submitting a Word doc or whatever might mess with the formatting. So make sure that it's PDF. And then as automated systems started becoming a thing, they had more trouble or they had difficulty processing the PDFs and LaTeX documents at first. So then it was a big switch to, okay, the best way to format it is using a Word document or whatever. And for me, the big lesson that I learned was formatting of your resume is the most important thing. Yeah. But that's not true. It's definitely the content.
So that is still what's being told to people, which drives me nuts because if I am doing like competitive research, right, on other businesses in my space, their selling point is like, buy this template, it'll fix your life, right? And that's not, if you fill it with generic AI phrases, then it's no better than the last template you had. So with what I do with my clients is I make sure that I call it their through line. Okay. I try to pull out your through line. So it's the through line is basically like who you are as an individual, what is your unique selling point, and where do you find like the most joy in doing your job. And it's not something that's easy to figure out about yourself, right? Like you're so close to the problem, it's almost impossible to kind of like pick out all the pieces to make that story. And so then that's kind of what I show up and try to help with, is I'm that mirror that is you reflected. And then I look at you and your career through the lens of a hiring manager and say, okay, as someone who is assessing your resume, these are the things I'm looking for, right? So it's a pretty intense process, but I've had huge success with it. Like one of my most recent clients got nothing for, I think, 18 months. And then after we finished working together, he was in final rounds interviews. Like that interview process started 5 days after we stopped working together. Because he just wasn't selling himself correctly. And I was like, your skill set is so much better than what's on your resume.
Yeah.
You need to write it down. And then people, they like pause, like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know how to say that.
So can you give me an example of like what changed in the resume?
Yeah. So one of my clients, he kind of was like a ex-theater guy. Okay. He went into copywriting because he wanted, when he was little, he wanted to write like screenplays. But then, showed up in the real world. I was like, I need a real job. Yeah. So he went into like tech and copywriting, I worked with him at one of my startups, and then, we went our separate ways. And he reached out to me later and was like, I hear you help with resumes. I don't know why I can't find another job. Please help. And after we worked together, basically his through line was he gives voiceless characters voices.
Okay.
And we went back through his career history and figured out like where he wrote scripts, where he wrote about, like mascots of brands that he put through marketing, and we elevated a lot of his previous work through that lens. And by doing so, his story became super coherent. The summary on his resume told a very clear story, had a very clear goal of what his like next role wanted to be. Yeah. And that landed him a job at Disney Imagineering, writing for characters on their rides, like scripts for the characters that you will actually see. And then later, now I think he's at Apple, doing some narrative design with something like some secret project over there, because he just wasn't positioning himself correctly.
Totally.
And that's the most common thing I see is, he was approaching it as like, hi, I'm a copywriter. And I was like, no. Your uniqueness as a copywriter is specifically character voices. And you want to stay in tech, and there is a use case for this across tech. You just need to make sure that whoever that hiring manager is picking up your resume is like slapped in the face. Like, oh yeah, this is the guy. Like, let's call him tomorrow. Right?
So then the resume, do you change the resume for each job that you apply to, or no, you keep it consistent?
So the resume, because it's about you and your uniqueness and your unique through line, is you. Like, you're not changing face every job you apply to. You might tweak like the job titles, like we were talking about earlier, where if your job title was producer in one industry and project manager in another, you can update that sort of thing. But generally, it's the cover letter that is changing from job to job. And that's the other thing that people like get totally wrong. I don't know what they told you growing up, but to me that was like, oh, you just write your cover letter as your resume, but in sentences.
Yeah, I feel like what I was taught was look at the job description, and you have like the first paragraph, which says, oh, I'm so excited for this role at your company, and here are the big bullet points of why I would be a good fit. The next paragraph is, this is my background and my history and what I've done. The next paragraph is, here are all of the skills that I have and the software and technology that I've learned to use, because you've listed all of these softwares on the job description. And even if I know some of them only a little bit well, I need to put it in there. Otherwise, I will not get past your automated filter. Yeah. Last paragraph is, thank you so much. I'm so excited. I have these skills that I can bring to the job. and let me know.
Look forward to speaking with you.
Look for it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was exactly what, like, and that doesn't add anything that wasn't already on your resume, right? Yeah. So now, again, you're fighting with everyone who's using AI to write their resumes and their cover letters. AI is just spitting the cover letter out as the resume, once again, not helpful, right? So the approach for cover letters, and that's the other thing too, is like more than 80% of my clients are like, oh yeah, the cover letter is optional. And I was like,
no, it's not optional.
No.
That I did learn.
Absolutely not. It says optional on the little field. Not optional.
Not optional.
Put it in there. And the whole point of the cover letter is to tell them a story of the most relevant thing or skill set that you think will solve the problem at the company you're applying to. So the cover letter is the thing that you're changing job to job, not the resume. And the cover letter... Oh, go for it.
Oh, the cover letter, the way that you described it sounds almost more like a case study for how your skills
little bit.
apply. Is that... Okay.
It's less of a case study and more like... Usually I recommend people have 3 or 4 different cover letters. Okay. And it is a little bit of case study, right? You take kind of an existing story or example, you know, think of something that somebody will ask you in an interview. What was one of your hardest decisions you have to make? Right? Like one of those types of answers. Put it in your cover letter. Okay. And the point of the cover letter is when the hiring manager reads it, they see you already in the position solving the problems of the company moving forward. Right? Because if you're just applying for the job that they've listed in the job description, the question that is going to come up is like, okay, well, what are you going to be doing in 6 months if you show up and solve this problem?
Yeah.
We still need like you to have good thinking skills, problem solving skills, you know, creative thinking skills to approach problems we don't even know exist yet.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're trying to demonstrate in the cover letter.
Okay.
Ideally.
That makes a lot of sense. So kind of going back to one of the things that I mentioned earlier, for the cover letter, I was always told that it's really important to have specific keywords in your cover letter. Otherwise, it'll get filtered out. Is that? No.
I think it's less, you know.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore, cover letters. Yeah, sort of in the resume still. But also with the evolution of, so they used to call it, or it is called ATS, the applicant tracking system.
Yep.
That's turning into more of like AI assessment. And AI is a little better at being flexible when it comes to actual, you know, checking the boxes. Did they have these skills listed? Do they have these other things listed? Because, right, like, you know, some job descriptions might be like critical thinking, and some may call it like creative thinking or creative problem solving or whatever. But it all kind of is like the same word cloud. Yeah. And AI is a little easier, you know, a little better at being like, oh, yeah, okay, they're there-ish.
Yeah. Oh, that's really reassuring.
Yes, but there's also 1.5 billion people that have been laid off.
I know.
Recently. So now you're competing against the numbers. And that's my other big thing is like, you're playing the game. It's the numbers game. It's always been about your network. It's always been about referrals. And that's why I think one of the biggest problems that I'm trying to elevate with Olin is we need alumni to support each other and new grads. And that has always been kind of lacking because, you know, as a new school, like we didn't show up to an internal job board that already existed. Yeah. Like I, you know, am fortunate enough that I was able to go to Brown for grad school, and that school's been around forever. So they have all these systems already set up, and volunteers and alumni and older alumni, you know, mentoring younger alumni, and they can get each other jobs or networking events or whatever. Yeah. Meanwhile, our little bubble's sitting over here trying to figure itself out.
Yeah. So what do we do about that?
So that's one of my initiatives.
I know. Tell me more.
Okay. So let me launch into that. So some of my clients are laid off Oliners, and it sucks. I hate it. It's just the world we live in right now. Yeah. I think this is like a month or two old stat. So it's probably worse now, but it was like, of my generation, millennials, 1 in 4 millennials are unemployed and because of layoffs and are job hunting.
I believe.
Which is huge. Like, that's insane to me. That many people are looking for jobs.
And the other thing that's crazy was, in high school, I feel like the most stable careers to go into were medicine or law or tech. And it's like, if you choose one of those, you'll be set for life. And
now they're getting hit hard.
Yeah, getting hit real hard.
So like, a bunch of Oliners who've been laid off I've been working with, and I get to the end of, us working together. And I would love to point them towards and then go over here and find a job in this internal job board. And that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I've been working with Olin. I have a meeting with PGP tomorrow, which is exciting. Nice. I have done a bunch of research. Basically, there's this thing called Handshake, which I didn't even know existed, but it's a job board platform that schools can subscribe to, I don't know, buy, whatever. Okay. And it sets up a job board for that school. So as an alumni, you use your Olin email to log in and you can see the jobs that are for Olin.
So are these jobs that are being posted by other Oliners or anyone?
So there's the problem.
Okay.
It's currently being flooded by a bunch of big companies that are just blasting out the same jobs to LinkedIn and Indeed and whatever. So it's not really unique to Olin. And that's the problem, right? Yeah. So in doing my research, a bunch of the current students and recent grads, I think from 2019 onward, were basically welcome to Olin, also sign up for this thing. So, 90 to 100% of each class is on Handshake.
Okay.
But those aren't the Oliners that are hiring, right? They've just entered the workforce, and our generation that in theory are managers and hiring managers who have hiring roles open, don't know how to find these Oliners because they've never heard of Handshake. So I am trying to do a broader Handshake email campaign through PGP push.
Okay.
We're currently in reviewing the content of the emails. But the goal's twofold, right? It's one, to educate what Handshake is, because I had no idea this was a thing until I asked. And 2, what to do with it. So it's confusing because the verbiage they use makes it sound like as a alumni, if you're not the founder of your company, you are unable to post certain things, which is not true. So the way that it's supposed to work is, as an alumni, you go sign up for Handshake and you have access to the job board. If you have roles that are open headcount, whatever, you can sign up as an employer and then post that job link on the job board. But if you work for a Google, right, the verbiage is confusing because you as the alumni aren't the hiring manager for the role in theory. It's a recruiter within Google.
Yeah.
But you are the alumni, you are the contact point. So those people need to go sign up as the employer. So it's confusing.
Got it.
But that's the part of the funnel that needs to be fixing, right? Or needs fixing. These students are looking for jobs, or recent alumni, and people are texting me. Literally, I got a text message yesterday of hey, Katie, you're in the career space. I have 3 headcount open. What do I do with this?
Yeah.
And I'm oh my God, go post it to Handshake. Yeah. And they were they're of my generation. And they're I'm not an employer. I can't represent my employer like that. I'm just gonna send you the link. And I was no, I can't go do the thing.
The only place that I've seen Oliners post jobs in the Olin alumni Facebook group as saying, oh, my company's hiring. But I feel these days, fewer and fewer Oliners log into Facebook or check the group. So having a dedicated spot that people can go to sounds incredibly helpful.
Yes, and you're totally right. In interviewing recent grads, they literally don't have Facebook accounts. So how would they even see that?
Yeah. And even not just recent grads, but I know a lot of people that did have Facebook accounts have since, deleted them.
Rarely go on Facebook.
exactly.
Maybe to check my happy birthday messages or something once a year, right? There's even branding mismatch between some of the LinkedIn groups that we might be considering posting jobs in. I know like one, we haven't discussed it with PGP in depth, but there's one LinkedIn group out there that's called like Olin College.
Okay.
And it's meant for alumni, and it's meant for alumni to connect for career resources. But because the branding is just Olin College, there's like potential parents or potential students' parents applying to get in. And you're like, wait, you're not the target audience for this.
Yeah.
Like, go away. So, I think there's like a multi-layered process that we have to go through. We have to like assess the naming and assess the approach, and there's an education layer, because there's absolutely people that can help other alumni within our alumni network. It's just nobody's talking to anybody else to get that kind of communication out there. So if you're watching this and you're not on Handshake, there is a link. There will be a link. Go sign up for a Handshake. It's supposed to be, the whole point of it is it's the internal job board.
Yeah.
And you can and should be able to, through messaging PGP, through the platform, to post your job hirings. So, if you have them, great.
Generally speaking, I've heard that Oliners like to work with other Oliners. So I think that this is a very good network to create, the job board for Oliners post job. Yeah.
And I know there's a joke out there of like, we have 12 platforms that aren't solving this problem. Let's make this new platform to solve the problem. Oh, we have 13 platforms that don't solve this problem, right? Like,
Yeah.
Is this the new platform? And I don't think so. Like, the whole point of this thing, spoiler alert, Brown also uses Handshake as an internal job board and is doing it, right? So like it's a cross school, like it's a bigger thing than just Olin. Olin didn't invent this out of scratch. It's something that exists. It's something that is working elsewhere.
Yeah.
It just requires like both ends of the funnel to be plugged in. And right now only one side is. So I think, it's going back to the actual problem. As the product manager, right, I'm in there digging, like, okay, what are the real problems? It's like the education for people who aren't on it already. It's, maybe we need some kind of tutorial on, like, how to actually post a job on the job board. But we're not quite there yet, but that's the goal. Because ultimately, it's rough out there.
Yeah.
And we really should be helping each other if we can.
Yeah, because there aren't that many alumni at this point. I know that the most recent class either just graduated or is graduating in a few days. So I think that now we might have around 1,700 or so. And that's not that much, considering other schools have more than that graduate in a single year. So I think that having a touch point with other Oliners that can help you in this market is so valuable, because kind of going back to resumes and cover letters, one of the other things that I've always heard is, yes, you can cold apply to jobs, but if you don't know someone at the company, your odds of getting a job there are much smaller. So by at least having this platform where you can say, yes, there is an Oliner there who I can at least have that conversation with, or who can at least put my resume a little bit higher on the stack, sounds so valuable.
Yeah. And even just having like that context is helpful.
Yeah.
I think, to that point, like your network, we're humans. We really like communication. We really like building relationships. So having, some kind of common connection grounded in that like Olin experience that is unique compared to other bigger schools, I think is very strong. And especially at smaller companies, right? Like that can go a long way, especially nowadays.
What, so your class or surrounding classes, Do most people work at smaller companies or big companies at this point?
That's a really great question. I don't know. I know after graduating, this was like eons ago.
Yeah.
2010-ish. Everyone went to like the Googles and the Facebooks and, or I guess it's Meta now, and the Apples and the Microsofts and whatever. I feel like nowadays people have kind of, it's like people are at startups, people are at mid-sized companies.
Yeah.
People have kind of found themselves, for my generation.
Yeah.
But and I don't know. I feel like the FANGs, whatever the acronym is now, or it's like Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix. No, what's the N?
I think it was Netflix.
Netflix and Google.
Yeah.
They're cool, but like they're just so big and they keep having layoffs. Everyone's kind of like, I'm not sure I want to sign up for that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go at a startup that is like a little more stable, especially if I can prove myself and they'll keep me around.
Because you started at a large company and then you transitioned to contract work, and now do you work with anybody else or is it just you?
So I currently only work with me, mostly because because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom full-time once my daughter was born almost 4 years ago now. But I can't sit still, so I started 2 companies because I guess that's what you do.
Yeah.
But leading here, yeah, you're right. Like I was at big, Electronic Arts was probably the biggest company I was at. I was at there twice. Okay. First full time, and then second time was a contract position later, during COVID actually. So that was exciting. But in between I was at smaller startups, like mid-sized companies. The smallest startup I was at was like 11 people. That's not true.
Huge.
3 people, 4 people. I don't know. I'm like gone all over, but the core of what I do is the same. I like solving problems, and I like seeing things. I like finding things and being like, I wonder if I can figure that out. Right? Mm-hmm. Like that was like the thing that Olin teased out of me. They like put me in front of a whatever. They were like, go, and I was just kind of like, I'm gonna get it. So I started a career positioning services company officially because that's part of the problems that people would bring to me and I would get excited to figure out. And because I felt like I could see things and I could communicate in a way that helped people understand kind of the fundamental approach to job hunting and not just being like, here's a template. Good luck. Yeah. That's going to change in 3 years, right? And so that is where Resume Whisperer was born. And then the other thing was I've always wanted to start a sticker shop since I was like in 6th grade. And I was like, I could do that. Can I do that? Maybe I could do that. And now I have a sticker cutter and a printer and I make stickers and sticker sheets.
So cute.
But because I'm me, it's not just a sticker shop. It's a world building experience that you sign up for to learn about the characters and get dragged into the story. That's and I'm working on like a mail club role-playing game with AI. So like you sign up and subscribe to my thing and you get stickers and a letter from Quill. This is Quill, by the way. He's a little manicat, which is one of these guys.
Oh my goodness.
And he sent you letters.
Did you make that as well?
The plushie? No, I found him on the internet.
Okay.
I don't know. He's like a thing. Tasty Peach. I took him off the internet. Someday I'll have a custom Quill. Yeah. But I also, because I'm a crazy product person, I made an AI agent that you can message on Telegram who is Quill to ask questions about the universe. And when you sign up for the mail club, the monthly mail club, when it's live, you help build the world and you can ask Quill questions, and Quill is sending you on adventures and trying to get you to help him figure out like what's out there, and you can guide the story a little bit. So I'm super excited about that and have no time to actually build it. So it's slowly evolving. But it was born out of that, like, I wonder if I can cut my own stickers at my house. Yeah. And yes,
I saw one of your posts the other day on LinkedIn talking about optimizing the sticker cutting process, and you wanted to minimize the amount of sheets that you used because you wanted to minimize your costs, but then it ended up costing you more money because there were bad sheets. And I just think that whole thought process of, again, it's just problem solving that you're applying to a different problem of how do I optimize this? But then also, what is the right question that I should be asking to optimize? Yeah.
I love this. Because you're right. Like, I was approaching the whole sticker making thing as, like, efficiently as possible. And the way that, I don't know, at least my sticker cutting machine works is you have to, like, get these registration marks on the page in order for the machine to calibrate, and then it cuts the sheets out. And so I was making them as small as possible to get as much sticker surface area on the piece of paper. And because of that, and because the stickers, like, they have these, like, glossy, I don't know if we can tell. Yeah, like that sheen. It was really hard for the machine to figure it out, and where the cuts were. And so it would just, like, cut a whole diagonal line through my entire, and I was like, there goes 2 sticker sheets. So, like, you know, I did the math, and the amount of material I was throwing away because I couldn't figure out where the sticker sheets were was both more stressful because I'm like, I'm wasting stuff, and not worth not crowding the sheet and just making the registration marks bigger so we could absolutely find everything, putting 1 sticker sheet on each page and filling in the gaps with, like, freebies of, like, you know, someone orders an actual sticker sheet, they get some cutouts of different characters that they didn't order. That's, like, a nice to have because I'm printing the sheet anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so in that approach, I was like, oh, this is way more efficient way of optimizing my stress levels. Even though in theory, like, the sticker sheets aren't as optimized because it would kill, you know, churn through. I had like a 60% success rate or something insane.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like I always approach optimizing for whatever's most efficient cost-wise. And then I always kind of take a step back and I'm like, okay, I am super stressed. This is clearly not the right answer. How do I optimize for my stress levels?
Yeah.
And, like, make sure that I am enjoying the process? Because this is, like, my joy project. Don't get me wrong. I like helping people with their careers and their resume stuff too. But, like, if I can just sit down with my iPad and draw, spoiler alert, I have a second master's in visual development and illustration.
So cool.
So if I could just do that for fun, like, you know, I wanted to be a concept artist once upon a time, but I feel like my levels of I need to figure this out are too strong to sit and draw 24/7. But this way I can, like, run the business and figure out, like, oh, you know, if I'm making a website, do I go through Squarespace or do I try to, like, do my own thing? Again, originally optimizing for, like, cost, and then pulling back and being like, maybe I should optimize for my stress levels.
I think that's a really important thing to hit on. Talking about the cost of stress levels. And I know that people approach jobs and careers in a lot of different ways. And, you know, people say, oh, like, time is money. And I think that's one thing that I've started to learn more and more over time, that, yeah, the amount of time that we spend on this earth is limited. So how can we spend it the best way possible? And if that means that you spend an extra few cents on a sheet, but you don't have to spend as much time doing QA for each sheet, and you are, you know, it brings you more joy and less stress, and you can bring that joy to other people, absolutely worth that trade-off.
I think too, like, it's so funny because I don't know, once every 3 months, I feel like I lay on the floor and look at the ceiling and be like, I'm just space dust. Like, what do I do? But it's one thing that, you know, put all of that in perspective was my kids, and trying really to be present with them brought a lot of that, like, forward. I don't know. I've tried to be, like, a mindful person in the past, but I'm always like, my husband makes fun of me all the time. He's like, why are you rushing? Like, what do we do? I'm like, I gotta get it done. He's like, what? Like, what's the point? And I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like like you said, time is money. And that's been like weirdly ingrained, especially in my generation. I'm not sure so much about like future generations, but there's pulling back on that and making sure that like, oh yeah, I can take some time to like work on my joy anchor or like play a night of video games to just kind of decompress a little bit. And really focus on like what makes me happy and what I enjoy doing. It's hard, don't get me wrong. It's hard to figure out what that is, especially like in your outside of career life and your career life. And I don't know, I have a lot of thoughts about that because there's a lot of kind of going back to like the resume, oh, just use a template. Like there's a lot of sayings out there like, find what you love and you'll never work a day in your life type thing. And I'm like, whatever. That's really oversimplified. I don't know if I would ever tell someone that. But there's an aspect of that I think is true. Otherwise that like wouldn't resonate with, as many people as it does. And I think part of me creating my businesses came out of that. It's just part of who I am that I like, I can't stop the train when it's in motion type thing. And it does bring me joy and it does, bring me happiness when I can help someone. And that's ultimately what is driving what I do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's hard, man. Like there's just life's confusing and you're just space dust at the end of the day. So do your best.
Are you a good boss to yourself?
No, not at all. It'll be like 9:45 at night, and I have to get up like between 5 and 6 with the kids, and I'm like half asleep, like trying to finish things, and I use AI in my workflows and process and stuff, and I'll have like Claude yelling at me like, go to bed, you're done, close the laptop. I'm like, no, I gotta finish this one thing. Like, my eyes twitching, like trying to. So no, I've always been hard on myself.
I think that it's, when I was considering different career paths, there was you can work at a large company and get a stable job. You can work at a startup and maybe work on a project which you find more fulfilling, or you can start your own thing. And one of the appeals of going to a startup or starting your own thing is unlimited PTO or more flexible hours or things like that. When in reality, it seems like larger companies stick more 9 to 5, and if you were at a startup or doing your own thing, maybe you work a little bit less, but realistically, most people work a lot more.
Yeah, there's all sorts of jokes. I mean, I'm at like TikTok For You page, right? It's like, I quit my 9 to 5 so I can work like 5 to 9 p.m., right? Like it's, because you care. I think that's part of it. It's your thing. And it's, hopefully it's exciting and it's fulfilling. And I think that's why I work so much is I want to make sure that, of the people that I can help, I am reaching them. And I am setting them up for success. So I want to make sure like I'm doing proper research. I want to make sure that what I am proposing and suggesting is working. As a product person, I'm big on making data-based decisions. So like part of what I teach when you work with me is like you're not only recording what jobs you apply to just for a track record, but it's your data set, right? Like which ones required cover letters? What cover letter did you send? Which ones were easy apply on LinkedIn? How quickly did they tell you no? Like all of that information is data. And now with AI, like you just pump it in the air and like find friends and it can spit it out. But before that, I would tell people like, try to figure out if things that you're doing aren't working based on data, not just on like a hunch.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like, I don't know. it's hard. I just keep going back like, it's hard out there. And I just want to help people.
Yeah.
So that's why I work so hard. That's why Claude yells at me all the time.
Actually, you just touched on something really interesting, which was LinkedIn Easy Apply. What's the deal with that?
It's a thing that sometimes works, but more often than not, it is sort of a trap. So part of my recommendation to people who are applying to jobs is it's a numbers game. Again, you got to apply to like 50 a week, which if you're in the thick of it, feels like a lot. It's like 10 a day, right? If you're going 9 to 5 or Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Your approach doesn't have to be the same towards each job. You're, looking for ones that you excite you the most. Obviously spend the most time on those. Easy Apply, I view as part of the numbers game, but it's kind of one of those like pray and spray.
Sure.
You might get something back, but you probably won't. So if you're trying to just hit that 50 a week and you're running out of time, just, easy apply. And maybe something comes back, but who knows?
One of the other platforms that I've used before is Indeed. And one of the things that I found was Indeed's listings were sometimes very out of date. Even though it was just added to Indeed, it was actually posted by the company 3 weeks ago. Yes.
So I always recommend go to the company website first, apply through there, and then, use the external tools.
What are the best ways to find 50 jobs a week to apply to?
Yes, there's a bajillion and a half job boards out there. Depending on your sector, there's certain ones that are better than others. Like I don't remember the names, but they're like if you're in healthcare, there's like specific job boards for healthcare. LinkedIn is obviously the big one. Everyone is on LinkedIn. It's like the cool place to be. It's not that cool. It's just where we hang out. But to your point, like sometimes the dates are mismatched. Sometimes the information is wrong. There's a thing that companies do where they just post jobs for the fun of it, is what I tell people. But really it's because they get, applicants applying that they just kind of collect to observe or do data analysis on. Certain companies, there's like certain, I don't know what you call them, like guidance, or I don't even know what the right term is. They get like tax breaks if they're hiring with no intention of filling a role sometimes.
Okay.
So, and then there's also like, they forgot to take down the LinkedIn. Like they filled the position 6 months ago, but now the LinkedIn post is still there. So there's all sorts of reasons why they call them ghost jobs or ghost postings, and they're not real. And that's part of like the frustration that people feel where they're applying to a lot of these roles that like there is no intention of hiring you. And so of course you're not going to hear back, or you get an automatic rejection because on Monday somebody hits a button and it just closes the thing and it just sends that email out like, thank you, but we've decided not to move forward with your, and that feels bad. And keeping your spirits up through all that is really difficult, especially now where the average, I think 3 months ago, the average layoff to getting a new job was 6 to 9 months, but they just bumped it from that to 9 to 12 months. And I assume in 6 months it's going to be, 12 to 15 months.
Yeah.
Because it's just brutal.
Yeah. Especially with, it seems like all companies are struggling, but especially the big ones, when they lay off so many people, these are really qualified engineers, which are now competing against recent grads for positions. And also with AI tools. Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
Go.
Yes. So there's two things that I think you're hitting on, right?
Yeah.
So there's these people who've been at these roles for like 10 years that have they're like, I don't know, apply to jobs anymore. 10 years ago, like this stuff didn't exist. Like, what do I do? Right.
Yeah.
And all of the suggestions are horrible. Just talk to me. I want to help you. The amount of times I've crashed out on LinkedIn is very high.
I've been witnessing it over the last month.
So that's like problem number one, right? Problem number two is, there's actually 3 things in here. Problem number 2 is the new grads are now competing with these more senior people that are just like, give me anything. I'll even go in at the new grad level, kicking out the new grads. And now the new grads can't find anything, which is a huge problem.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is with the AI tools that are emerging, the companies are like, oh, we're going to use these AI tools to like, you know, expedite blah, 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 whatever, which has now replaced the new grad jobs. And so now the new grads don't have an entry level rung on the career ladder to enter in. Yeah. So what do? How do they get experience? And like, it's a huge problem that I actually think personally is going to solve itself in a couple years, but a lot of people don't have a couple years. So that's why I recommend like, get off the easy apply, use your network, find these other job boards that are less saturated, right? There's like the work@astartup.com I recommend to a lot of people. There's Well-Found, which used to be Angel List, which is like all about startups. There's a lot of people that don't want to work at startups though, because they feel like it's more risky and they just want to like go in at a bigger company and be set and comfortable. But those are right. Like then the big companies turn around and say like AI this, AI that, and they have giant layoffs. Which, by the way, they're just using AI as an excuse. Like a lot of these people aren't getting laid off because of AI. They're just using AI as the scapegoat, which also sucks.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I agree with what you're saying about big companies used to seem like a safer choice. But now if the decision is to work at a 30,000 person company or work at a 10-person startup that only has runway for a year or 2 years, if you're at that 10-person startup, you know that your job is extremely valuable because there is no one else at the company that has the time or the skills to replace you. And you know that you will be set at that company for 2 years at the very least. And to me, that seems a little bit more stable than going at a big company. Who knows when the next round of layoffs will be?
Yeah, that's the goal. And I think a part of it too is like there's all sorts of mixed feelings about AI. Like a lot of these companies are doing the thing that everyone jokes about of like, oh, you need 15 years experience with AI. And everyone's like, it hasn't been around that long. So no, but like, you know, they're like, oh, I'm going to be left behind. And I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of companies are scared that might happen, but I don't think it is. And I think, you know, that coupled with the amount of people applying makes it really hard. So that just, you know, doubles down on the whole network thing. So like, Olin, like, let's do it.
No, absolutely.
And I think too, like everyone, you know, it does feel very overwhelming. A lot of people have opinions about AI that may be very heated. And a lot of companies do too, right? Like, especially like as an artist, as an illustration background, like I make a point in my stickers to hand draw all of my, you know, like I have process videos. I'm like, look, I did this because I know it's such a contested topic. But at the same time, you know, I'm using AI to build my website and like, you know, help figure out my process and like troubleshoot my sticker cutter when it goes freaking haywire. Like, there are uses for it that I think are appropriate because it does expedite certain tasks. But then I think there's other things that I'm like, okay, this is better if a human does it. And I think writing your resume is one of those. Yeah.
I think that the way that I've been viewing AI these days is it's a really good supplement for skills that I'm not as good at, or maybe I don't have those skills. So your example of building a website, I've built websites before. I'm not great at it. It takes a lot of time. So if there are tools that can help speed up that process so that I can focus on the more important things, I would love to use that tool. And I think that seeing companies that use AI to kind of speed up back-end processes as opposed to being more customer forward, to me, they tend to scale better and I think companies that try using a lot of customer forward AI tools end up scrapping them after a while because customers want the human knowledge or the human interaction.
Oh man, the amount of times I'm on the phone yelling, agent, I'm like, just give me a human. Don't talk to you stupid. But like, there's great examples out there. Like, I think IKEA just came out and they said I'm going to botch the numbers, but basically they took AI and replaced a whole sector of their company and like their internal processing or whatever it was. And they took those humans, the people, the employees, and put them on a different project that was more customer facing. And it was like, they transitioned to helping people like actually design their spaces, or that, they would talk to people and be like, oh, you're looking at the Billy bookcase. Like, what do you need it for? Oh, you're building a nursery. Like, how about you these other things? Right. Cause they were experts in this place where the AI was really good at like just churning the data. And I think IKEA came out and they said that they made like $1 billion extra profit, not just revenue, but profit, because they didn't lay anyone off. Like, they would have saved something like $35 million if they laid everybody off. But instead, they repositioned all these skilled workers. Yeah. And, like, just exploded and you're like, that is the proper way to use AI. Like, replace the boring stuff, use the skilled humans in the human part.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, back in 2014, when I took a year off from school, I started a company with another Oliner, and we were making robots that worked in kitchens, like commercial kitchens, restaurant kitchens. And we started with burger restaurants. And the whole idea behind it was, when we did research on different restaurants, food prep takes a long time. And especially with fast food or fast casual restaurants, they spend so much time training employees. It costs them a lot of money. And then since it's a lower paying job, they don't actually work at the job for very long. And then they need to retrain another employee. So talking to chains that have, or restaurants that have kept employees longer, they really value the employees that have experience, and they want to create a good environment for them. So we're like, okay, well, if we can automate the process, which is basically an assembly line, right? You need to chop these things. You need to put the burger on the grill for a few minutes, and then it needs to flip. And you want to be very, very consistent. That's something that robots are good at. So if we can decrease your costs, increase your consistency, and then position your employees to have more customer-facing roles, to have a more enjoyable experience for all of your customers, then that sounds like a win for everyone. And, a handful of fast casual restaurants were on board with it. But starting a hardware company is very expensive. And I think that we started it maybe a little bit early, because I don't think that the market was quite ready for it yet. But then 5 years later, companies started rolling out exactly what we were describing. But not necessarily.
I want to know where the story's going, because that is like the pinnacle of I think what's happening right now, for sure.
Yeah. But what we were seeing is that people were not necessarily repositioning their employees to customer facing roles. And that you then are essentially creating a vending machine that people can walk into. And
like those Amazon Go stores that I don't know if you've ever walked into, or you just like take the food and walk out. Like, oh, this is weird.
Going back to what you were saying earlier, we're humans and we enjoy human connection. So if there are ways that we can increase that human connection and make people's lives better, then I think you end up getting more loyalty and more customers.
Yeah. And just like the trust goes up exponentially when you have a human to human interaction that is repeatable, and it's just nice. And I think a lot of well, I don't know when this started, but it's a lot. I don't really. There's certain moments where I'm just like, give me my groceries and let me leave. But then there are other times where I'm like, I am having this problem and I would like someone to like empathize with me, and then also fix my problem, right? Because it's like just figured out the other day that one of my credit cards like never changed my name. I got married in 2021, and it had my old, like, my maiden name on it. And I was like, I changed everything. Like, what is going on? And I couldn't figure it out on the website, and a lot of companies, remove, like, the contact us, because they just get rid of their customer support, or they, like, automate it or whatever. And I ended up, this is through Chase. Shame. But they were great. I called them and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I can't figure it out. Please help me. And they're like, yeah, absolutely. We're going to send you this email. You just, like, send us a copy of your wedding certificate and, like, or even your driver's license, because you had to do that to update your name on your driver's license, and we'll fix it. And I was like, glorious. Like, I hate talking on the phone, and you just made my whole day better.
Yeah. I cannot think of a single time that an AI support agent has actually solved my problem. And I'm pretty good at diagnosing problems before I go to support. And when I go to support, they're like, oh, have you looked at this article? I'm like, yes, I already read these articles, but there's something different that I need to talk to someone about. And as soon as I get on with a human, they're like, oh, totally, we got you.
You're like, and then you wasted, like, 30 minutes of your time. Which, again, time is money. But, I don't know, it's more than that. It's like, please don't, just respect my time. I think that's one of the biggest things that, like, again, since having my kids, I've become more sensitive to. Like, as the product person who likes to solve problems, my daughter went to a preschool. She had a great time. Love this preschool. But they're just, like, a small, like, they don't really do marketing stuff. I've worked in marketing before. I was like, I can handle your marketing super easy. Like, let me help you with that. And so I started helping them with it, and it, like, ballooned into this, like, massive time sink. And I was like, hold on, I just wanted to, like, set you up with the framework so, like, you could be set up for success. And now, like, you're not respecting my time, and, like, I don't love that. And so it got a little heated for a bit. But before, like, I think before having kids, where something else is, like, a higher priority in my life in terms of time, I wouldn't have noticed that. And I think that's where, like, my, like, AI approach and my opinions on AI also get folded into. Like you were just saying, like, certain things it's really good at and can expedite. And then I get more time back in my day to spend with my kids, which is the ultimate goal, right? Yeah. In theory. I don't know. What's the meaning of life? I'm going to go lay on the floor after this.
We're all specks of dust.
Yeah. Like, who knows? But at the same time, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
She's adorable. I get to, play with my kids. Like, it's just fun. And they're only small for so long. And everyone tells me, they grow up so fast. I'm like, I kind of can't wait until you sleep through the entire night and I don't have to wake up at 2 in the morning. But at the same time, I'm like, there will come a point where she's going to be a sassy teenager and I'm going to have to deal with that. And I'm going to be like, man, I wish you were 3 again, because that was so much better. I'd rather wake up 2 in the morning.
Yeah. Well.
But yes.
I guess, speaking of time and getting back to the important things in life, I can let you go and get back to your kids and sticker work and resume whispering.
I know. Oh my God,
is there anything else that you want to talk about before we end? I
think I just want to circle back and say, look, like, it's rough out there for the job stuff. For Oliners, I actually am happy to do like a 30-minute chat, phone call, whatever. If you feel stuck or have questions or are concerned, if you're a new grad, if you are graduating in a couple years, if you've just got laid off, if you think you are just want to change your job, if you want to pivot, like, I help everybody. And that's what brings me the most joy. So, like, just reach out. I've recently started Olin office hours in the Olin alumni Discord. It's every Friday Pacific time, 1:30 to 2:30. And I just hang out and people bring questions or concerns or their resume or job descriptions or their cover letter or whatever. And we just talk through stuff. Sometimes I'll bring topics. it's only happened like 2 or 3 times, but every time, there've been 6-ish people. Happy to have more. And we just talk about things and talk about questions that people have in terms of careers and jobs and layoffs and keeping their spirits up when you've gotten your 400th rejection email. Like, I get it. It sucks. Yeah. But I want to help if I can. So, there's resources out there, and if you're feeling stuck, I don't want you to feel stuck forever. That's why I want to help.
Thank you so much for helping out the Olin community in this way. The office hours, I know, have been a huge hit, and people have seen so much value from it. So I encourage anyone else who is listening to this, go to the office hours. And also, I just want to say to all Oliners and other people out there that are applying to jobs, try not to take it personally. It is not a reflection on you and your value as a human if you are struggling to get a job. It's a tough market, but hopefully after listening to this and after talking to Katie, you understand that maybe there's a better way that you can present yourself or find roles that fit your experience. Hopefully.
I do have, because I'm in the middle of this devolution branding, my current website, which I will link, Sean, description below, I have a free PDF. You just put your email in, it emails you a PDF, which tries to walk you through like how you can rewrite your resume. So if you can't make the office hours, if you can't, don't have time to chat or whatever, go to my website, grab the PDF, try that first. And then if you get stuck, let me know. My whole goal is to help people. So whatever is the most helpful, I'm trying to use all of those hours where Claude is yelling at me to go to bed to make things to help people get unstuck.
Yeah. And also for anyone else out there, if you're not already connected with Katie on LinkedIn, definitely do that. Katie posts all the time, and they're honestly some of the most interesting reads on LinkedIn.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I have lots of thoughts.
You do. And I feel like there's a lot of insight and a lot of data backing up different things that you're trying or different ways to help people out. And you can also see the passion in your posts. There's some in all caps, like, let me help you.
Yeah. Yes, you could come along with on a wonderful ride with my crash outs. They used to happen a lot more on TikTok, and then I just haven't posted on TikTok in forever. But now they're happening in text form on LinkedIn because it's just wherever I am. I used to go on Reddit, our resumes, and just reply to people, and I would have crash outs on Reddit. I was like, this isn't the best for my image, but it does. I'm not very. I have no poker face. It's really what it is. The passion and the intensity that I feel just comes out. And it's just the driving force behind the wanting to help, because it's not fair. The whole, we were told one story growing up in terms of careers, and now we've been thrust into this world where it's just completely different. And figuring out how it works is not the most obvious thing, especially if you haven't worked on the other side of that as the hiring manager. There's a lot of not misinformation, but it's
things change so quickly.
Deceptive information. Yeah, it's people try to distill down how they want to help or what they're trying to do to help, and then it turns into just use this template, which isn't exactly the most helpful thing in the world. Yeah. But a lot of people don't also know how to explain why, and I think that's part of the big problem. So yes, poke me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Discord. I'm around. Happy to help. Happy to chat.
Amazing. Well, Katie, thank you so much for your time today and for helping out Oliners during office hours and helping set up Handshake. And even beyond Oliners, thank you for helping out the larger community with one of the most challenging things that people face in their career.
Well, I'm very excited to see how your platform grows. I'm very subscribed to your podcast. So thank you for inviting me to talk about my passions.
Yeah, of course. Well, Have a good one, Katie, and I'll see you at office hours.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Sean.